Hey everyone, this is a new series I'm starting on Rails 5 and material design. We're going to be building a forum application. Before we dive in, I have a couple of quick points to make. First of all, you're going to want to keep up with this course, and if you want to follow along, you need to subscribe to my YouTube channel or go follow me on Twitter at TechMakerTV. That's the first point. The second point is that this course is being put together at the request of somebody, a student who is taking a previous Rails course, and I've had a number of people ask me about building forums. So I decided I'd go ahead and pull the trigger and do it. So if you have something that you want to see built, please tweet at me, send me an email at steven@techmaker.tv, comment on YouTube, whatever you got to do, but just let me know if you want to build something in particular and we'll see what we can do. I've got to keep this episode a little bit short, but I want to get this project kicked off, and I'm going to do my best to publish a new episode every day until it's done, which could be 10 to 20 days in a row. We'll see what happens. You guys know that I make these kind of long, drawn-out courses that take you through a bunch of different features and stuff, so we'll just go until it's done and see where we get to, but let's go ahead and get it started. So first of all, if you're brand new to Rails, you might want to check out the Building a Blog course that's also on YouTube on my channel. Before you get started, you're going to want to make sure you have Rails and Ruby installed. You can just check that in your terminal by typing in ruby-v and rails-v, and you need to have something similar to what I have. You don't have to have the exact same version, but it needs to be Rails 2 point something and Ruby 2 point something and Rails 5 point something. Alright, so if you're good with that, then the next thing we're going to do is run the following command. So we're going to create a new app. We're going to say Rails new. I'm just going to call this forum for lack of imagination. Let's see, last time we had frog blog, so maybe we need like polar bear forum. I don't know, that's kind of funny. Anyway, doesn't matter. Database equals PostgreSQL. Postgres, I misspelled that. Postgres. Okay, PostgreSQL. Cool. So that's going to install some stuff and set up the project. Once you have that, then you're going to cd into whatever you called it. So in my case, it's Polar Bear Forum. Alright, now we're going to run the following. We're going to run Rails DB setup. Now, if you don't have Postgres installed, you may get an error right here. Then we'll run Rails DB migrate. So I believe during the last course we set up Postgres. If you want to go back and look at that, if you have an error here, or you can Google around, or you can post in the comments and I'll try to help, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Installing Postgres is kind of a separate issue. The only comment I'll make is that if you don't want to deal with Postgres and you just want to get started, you can cd backup, so you can cd into whatever your parent folder is, and you can run Rails new again with a new project name, and don't put the Postgres flag. But I put it because if you want to deploy to Heroku, which we probably will at the end, you need to be using Postgres. Alright, let's get it going. So I'm going to open up the project in Atom, which is my text editor of choice, and it's going to throw a bunch of error messages at me here telling me I need to install Java. Okay. So you can see that we have the project set up with all the kind of standard boilerplate stuff. Okay, so let's just get a couple of things set up really quick. In the next episode, we're going to go more in depth, so don't worry, we're not just going to leave this as some sort of lame scaffolding project, but I want to scaffold some stuff just to kind of get things going. So to do that, we're in our Polar Bear Forum directory. We're going to run Rails G scaffold. And let's just call this discussion, and let's give it a headline string and a content text field. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else we want right off the bat. That might be good enough. We're just trying to get this started, so that's okay. All right, so now we can run Rails DB migrate, and that's going to create a table for us for discussions. Okay, so now we can just run Rails S. We'll be able to jump back in our browser and be able to work with discussions already, like magic. So if we go to localhost 3000/discussions, we can see that we have the standard Rails scaffold thing going on here. So first discussion, lorem ipsum stuff. I'm not really sure why I was compelled to spell ipsum correctly, as if it matters. Anyway, so now we have a list of discussions going. Cool. Also just noticed that I spelled ipsum correctly and failed to spell discussion correctly, so that's neat. Alright, anyway, it doesn't matter. So we're going to be using something called Materialize CSS in this project. And to include this in our Rails project, there's a Materialize CSS gem, and we're going to grab this, Materialize SAS, and let's check if there's any instructions to follow. So we'll copy the gem. So open up gem file. By the way, if you're interested, this is a shortcut. If you do Command T in Atom, and I think it also does this in Sublime Text, you can do kind of a full text search for file names. So we can do gem file. That's kind of how I'm doing that. I don't know if I've ever explained that before. Just down here, I'm going to paste this, go back to the terminal, stop our server, bundle install, Rails S, get our server going back again. Alright, so now we have to do a couple of things. So application SCSS, import Materialize. So there's something in here that's sort of implied but not necessarily stated. So if you look in App, Assets, Style Sheets, you have application CSS. We need to rename this dude to be, let's see if I can not mess it up, rename SCSS. We need to just delete all of that and paste in at import Materialize. Then the JavaScript, we're going to just include Materialize sprockets. So we want to go to application.js right there. So after Rails turbolinks, just paste it right there. Make sure that was after turbolinks. Yeah, it's after turbolinks. Paste it. And let's go back and let's take a look at our thing and see if it changed at all. I have no idea if it will or not. Yeah, so totally different. It's the material style, I guess. So let's run back over to our style sheets, and the scaffolds thing will generate this CSS file, or SAS file actually. I'm going to delete that because I don't want the scaffold styling. Alright, let's refresh and see if it changes anything. It probably doesn't. Okay, so let's see. If we go back over to the Materialize page, so you will appreciate a lot of the fanciness that comes out of the box with this the more you use it. Let's start by just taking a look at the grid. So we're going to add a container class around our main content, and it has a lot of similarities to Bootstrap and probably other frameworks you've been used to. As a 12-column grid, if you want to have a column, you say COL, and then you specify, I think that's small 1. You can do M and L for small, medium, large. You can have an offset. Okay, so I want to have a medium 10 offset 1, I think, for our table, because it's really huge right now. So let's just kind of do this iteratively, and then that'll be it for this go around. Alright, so I don't want to save that because I just deleted it. I don't need that open. I don't need that open or that. Okay, so the scaffolds generated everything that we worked through piece by piece in the blog course in one command. So it kind of generated just all of the standard stuff. And we don't necessarily need all of it, but it's there. So we have a table. Let's see, so we want that. We're going to work with that a bit. In our layouts file, let's check out the application HTML. So right inside of here is where I tend to put, caps lock is on. Like the container is going to be wrapped around pretty much everything. So for now, let's just put this here. And let's go back and check out what that does. So that's going to really bring everything in. And actually, that brings it in so much, I don't think I'm going to keep my statement about the columns, because I think that that's fine. Alright, so let's see. Let's go back to our table. We could add class equals striped. Okay, so that's going to make the table striped as we go through it. This thing is enormous. Let's put it down to like H4. Okay, so this is not pretty right now, but it's a start. Let's see if there's any like buttons we can use in here. I mean, I know there's buttons. I'm just keeping everyone in suspense. So we want to put, let's just put this link to new discussion class, and let's see what we have. So that's pretty slick. That's interesting. So that turned our headline into kind of a classic material design looking thing. It did not do anything nice with our text area, unfortunately. And I want to fix that form submit with the same class I just put on there. I did not like that because I did not give it, let's call it a save discussion. It's just kind of generic. Cool. And I'm going to put a BR tag right here because that's too close and that looks better. So we'll do something with this content thing later. We'll redesign this whole, we'll redesign everything actually. I'm just trying to get something kind of decent looking right now so that we don't hate ourselves while we mess with it. That's not what I was trying to change. I need to look at the new. So we'll make that an H4, and then the edit also needs to be an H4. Okay, cool. So in the next episode, what I'm going to do is add in some basic navigation so that we can get around this a little easier, and then we're going to add in authentication with Twitter. So in the last episode, I mean in the last course with the blog, I showed you how to build the kind of standard email and password authentication system with Devise, which is really normal and standard, and you could do that here. You can actually do both, but I'm just going to have a Twitter login so that you can kind of get a sense for how that works, and then we're going to use that to decide like who can view and edit and do different things. So anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. Actually, no, there's one last thing I want to do, and then that will be it. So I want to check out my routes, and I'm just going to do route to, I think I just do discussions. I think that's the syntax. I don't memorize all this stuff. Yeah, exactly. So that's it. So that's it for this episode. I hope you find this interesting and exciting. definitely subscribe and follow up on this. Also, one last point, I'm working on a pretty long series of short JavaScript tutorials, and they're not in like a long course format like this, and I know that I'm just trying to build out a library of useful things for you to go back and reference, that are little short helpful videos. So I just wanted to let you know about that. Go check it out if you have a chance. Let me know what you think. Love to hear from you. Like I said, TechMaker TV on Twitter. I'll talk to you soon.